probably can't see inside.
Okay, we're in the basement. I got George with me.
Got my glasses on.
And he was just explaining to me how he does the stretcher bar on his paintings. So I asked him if he could explain it again and I could film it so that you guys can see how he does this.
So that's the finished canvas. And to put it on the wooden stretcher bar, that's the wood that goes around on the inside, which you stretch the canvas over, and then you staple the canvas onto this stretcher bar wood, which is like a framing, wood framing in there. Now it's beveled on the edge a little bit in there, which you can't see, because if you didn't have it beveled, when the canvas, when it stretches, you would see the line of the piece of wood around the stretcher bar. So on the inside edge, it's beveled. So it looks like that. And to make it, you have to you get 1x2s. 1x2s, this is a 1x2x6, 6 feet long 1x2s. So I get one 1x2 in this direction, I put another one right on top of it. I glue it, you clamp it, and then with the nail gun, I put nail gun holes, just shoot nails right into this with the nail gun to hold it together. And then basically what you do then is I can take these clamps off. I don't need the clamps since it's been setting overnight. The glue's already hardened, the nails are already holding it in place. And what you're done with this then is, this is the stretcher bar, that's on the inside here of this.
Okay.
So what I have to do then is cut this stretcher bar to the different lengths, like 2 this way and 2 that way, and then make 2 of them this length and 2 that length, and then cut them on a 45-degree angle and glue them and staple them together. And then when the stretcher bar dries and it sets up, then I can take the actual canvas, like one of these over here, and I can stretch this canvas on this stretcher bar.
Gotcha.
That's it.
That's it. That's how you do it.
That's how we do it.
Okay.
Canvases, these are just flat canvases on a like a PVC board. It's really on a board like this.
Okay.
And it's just taped on there, and then you paint on it, and it's a real thin board and has this canvas is taped on. But I'm going to take all the tape off, take the canvas, stretch it over this stretcher bar.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right, thanks. All right, you guys, we're in the basement, and I did a clip, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. George was showing how he does a stretcher bar. For those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that he's an oil painter, and these 2 paintings have been down here in the basement for a while. But if you're new here, he paints, and right now I think we have, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 paintings hanging upstairs. But what he's going to show is would be the next step in his frames, in making his frames. So I'll let him explain what he does.
Okay, so in the previous video, I showed you the stretcher bars, which are just 2 pieces of wood, 1x2s that are put together, like this on an angle. What I do then next is, after I've cut these to size, this is what the finished item is going to look like. And so it's made up of, 2 sides on this side and a top and a bottom over here. So when you have one of them, I use this biscuit cutter, which kind of cuts a groove in the piece of wood for these biscuits to fit in. And where you put the biscuits and where you cut the groove is in the corners where they join, like here, right here in these 4 corners. So you use the biscuit cutter, you put a notch in there, and then these little biscuits will fit in that notch that's cut by the biscuit cutter. Once you've done that, you glue everything together, you put the biscuits in, you put all of these pieces together, and then you're going to need something to hold this
stretcher bar in place. And so what they make is they make this little clamp tool that lets you clamp everything together, and then it tightens, you tighten it up, and as you tighten this,
Okay.
it forces everything into place, and it holds it in that position. And then you use this tool to clamp and start to tighten this piece of I don't know what it is. It's some kind of material like a
nylon.
like a nylon,
Feels like a
yeah.
nylon
And it has
almost.
these plastic corners, you know, for the stretcher bar, and then you tighten it up, and after you let it dry overnight, then you can, you know, take the clamps off, and then you're left with this stretcher bar. Now, what's going to happen with the stretcher bar is we're going to take this canvas off of this board, and we're going to stretch it over this stretcher bar. So with that, when it's done, it's going to look like something like this, like a painting on the actual stretcher bar. So this is one that was done previously. You staple the back of the canvas to the stretcher bar, and on the front side of it is where the actual painting is. And as you can see, there's the wood here, which is just, you know, just like this one. It's the same size as that one. And that's pretty much.
So if you were to
know,
go
how
out
it's
and
done.
buy a frame like that, what would that run you?
I mean, you can go out. I mean, stretcher bars can, I mean, they can run anywhere from a couple of dollars to $10 or $15 or $20, depending on the size of the painting.
Okay, but doing it this way, you can make it in any
You can make
size.
it. You can make it in any size
that you
right,
want.
That you want. So if you're if you're going to paint something on a canvas, you know, 7 by 5 or 8 by 15 or 24 by 36, whatever size you want to make your painting, you can make your own stretcher bar then for that particular size. So you can come up with custom sizes, not just, you know, 8 by 10, 11 by 14, 18 by 24.
Right.
You can do any odd size that you'd want, and then you make the stretcher bar, and then it'll work. It'll save you having to go out and buy the stretcher bars.
Okay, so you just went over your daughters. You just got this all sanded down.
Yep.
So this one's all ready.
This is ready to go.
And so it's going to be this painting
Yep.
here that's going to go
On this
stretcher bar.
Right.
Okay.
And we'll do that in another video.
Okay. Okay, I think this is the third clip. We're going to put all these clips together as he goes through this process of like beginning to end. And there's going to be so much more. I mean, as he starts painting, because he's got a canvas ready here, and he's got that painting there to put on a stretcher bar. And then he ordered canvas, actually, from Temu that just came in the last 2 days. So there's 3 rolls of canvas that he got from Temu. And how many paintings, George, do you think you can get out of this?
Oh, maybe 40.
Okay, so it's gonna. He plans on doing like 5 paintings at a time, like working on 5 different paintings as he goes along. But right now, we're just going to do a whole bunch of clips. I'll put all the clips together as we go along, and just to show the process of how he goes about this.
This is
There's a canvas
ready to go.
that's ready for his next painting, and he has a painting in mind, and then he'll sketch that, and
then
that will be the next one.
Here's a board that doesn't have a canvas on it yet.
So
it's going to get
that
canvas
will
material. Yep, that'll
get
go
that
on this.
material in there.
Just like this one, I got another one here.
So
We've got, you know, a bunch of them that are.
okay, so what are we doing now?
So we're going to take this painted. This is dry. This is one that was painted probably more than a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, and it's dry. So now we're going to take the tape off of this and get this canvas off this board, which sometimes is really challenging because this tape really holds really tight onto the board. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get this off, but basically this is the board and this is the canvas that's, you know, painted already. So now I've got to take all these pieces of tape off.
What kind of tape is that? What is that?
Gorilla tape.
Oh, okay.
It's like a Gorilla adhesive tape. It's like super adhesive, so that when you got your canvas on this board and you tape it, it's not going to move off of this board while you're painting on it.
Okay. So since this is going to take
a little
time,
while,
we'll
right.
stop right here. It's just wanted to show you what his next step is, and that'll be to go around and get all this tape off,
Yep.
so that the painting comes off, and then
Yep.
I will we'll start the camera back up.
Yep.
All right, we're in the next clip, the next stage. George took all the tape off of the painting. That's what he has left. And okay, so what's the next step?
So now we have the canvas, the picture painted on there. You can see these guidelines on here. So these guidelines are to help line this up with the stretcher bar. So this is an 18 by 24 inch painting. So it's got to fit the 18 by 24 inch stretcher bar. So basically, I mean, we had this board and we had it all taped on here. Now we just have the final, you know, the final canvas. This is the painting right here.
Look at that. And this picture, I took a photo. We were in Maryland. It was last October. It was our first trip together. We went to the beach, we went to the ocean for just one day, and we were coming back, walking from the ocean up, and we walked by this fence line, and I took this picture, and he loved it, and I loved it, and so he painted it. So this is actually a painting of a picture that I took of our first trip away together.
Yeah,
So
you
that's
have to get
pretty
their
cool.
actual picture and
Yeah.
yeah. So here's the board. So this board now is ready.
So you can use this again and again and again,
Yep,
right?
It's just gonna look, I'm gonna get blank canvas and I'm gonna put it on there. I'm gonna put it on here. It starts out like this. This is what it starts out with. It's the board
Yep.
with the canvas, with it taped on, and then this is a coat of gesso. It's like a primer over top of the canvas material that you put on, several coats of that gesso on there, and then you actually draw on here and start to do your painting.
Okay.
So this is one that's ready to get a drawing on. This I'm gonna have to cut the canvas to the size and then tape it all around just like that one, put the
Okay.
gesso on it and prepare it.
Okay.
So what we have now is this painting. This is the final one. There it is. And then we've got this stretcher bar. So what we got to do is we're going to put this over top of that. And then we've got to line this up with these lines on it, and then start to do the actual stapling. So the line starts like right about at this line here. So it's gonna start somewhere in there. Let me see. That's gonna be there. So we gotta get this lined up on that end and this lined up on this end. It takes a little bit of doing sometimes, but that's basically how this is going to go. This has to come up onto that edge, and this has to be on this edge, like that. That's going to go around. That's pretty close there. That's pretty close there. Okay. I want to make sure we get that end there and this end here. Okay, that looks pretty good on those lines. So these lines have to line up with the top of the stretcher bar.
Okay.
Okay, so when we get that, and then we've got to make sure the edge ones are going to line up on this side then of the stretcher bar. And it looks like that's pretty close with that line, and that looks like that's pretty close with that line. So I think this right here is about where we would want to do that. So how do we do that? Next, take the staple gun and we unravel the cord there. And we're gonna put a staple right in here.
Anything you need me to do? Are you good?
Nope, I'm gonna go right around here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna set that there. And this is gonna go here. All right, that's gonna go there. This is gonna go around here. So we're gonna put a staple right here in the back.
We're gonna do a take two,
We're gonna do a take two.
which just goes to show there is no perfect in life.
Anyway, we're gonna get this lined up again. Where's the corners at? Right about here. I got them there.
Real life, folks. This is just real life.
Yep, when it flips and it flops around, that's what it does. That's right about there. It's right about there. That one's right about there. That one's right about there. All right, let's try this again. Take that there.
Got it? Okay.
Here. Right like that.
All right.
Okay. Now we're gonna shoot one in here. There we go. So we got that one. That's in the top. Now we're gonna pull this around and let's see if we can.
Now, what is that?
This is a clamp. You can use this to actually pull the canvas a little bit taut.
Okay.
We can get it on here and pull that a little bit tighter there. And that should go around there. And that should go right around here. And if we hold that tight and we put one in, there we go. So now we've got one. I'm going to put another one in. There we go. There. Okay. So now we got kind of top and the bottom. Now we've got to do one of these sides. So we're going to pull this around here. Get this clamp here. Pull this, see if I can pull it. I may have to pull it. It might not be enough for the clamp for that. So I may have to do it by my fingers.
Okay.
And pull it like that. And give this guy one. There, that one in there. And pull it around this way. Pull this up. Pull this around here. And pull it there. So now we've got that's the start of the entire painting.
Very nice.
So what we do then is we just go all around, fold these corners over, and finish the stapling. And that's it. But that's how you start it. I don't want to. It'll take a little while to pull all these things around and staple all them. But that's
Okay.
it's like wrapping a Christmas present. You just
Yeah.
fold the corners over.
Okay. Well, we'll stop there.
Okay.
And we'll pick up again when he's all done.
All righty. Flies in here.
Okay. Here it is. The finished product. Look at how pretty that is. Move over there as we get a little more. There we go. Okay, can you flip it around and show what the back looks like? So he did all the tucking in and all the stapling. And there we go. So, another George Yoder original. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And I guess real quickly, while I have the camera going, I can show you guys some of the other ones that he's done that's hanging in our home. We've got this one. And I'm not sure when all of these were painted, so we have, these were the first 4 that we hung up when we moved in. These were one of your early works, right?
Yep.
And this picture here, when he and I first met, and I got to see the house that he lived in before our house, our home. He told me to pick any picture I wanted, painting that I wanted, and I picked this painting right here, out of all the paintings that he had that I could pick from. So we have that, and this was an early one that you did, right? Do you remember about what year you painted this one?
Maybe a year and a half ago.
Maybe a year and a half ago. Okay, poppies, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we have that one, and I know some of these I did show, but this one, which I just love, absolutely love. And so this one will go up, of course. And then we have all this wall space once we paint that green wall that nobody likes. I'm gonna real quickly, I'll take you upstairs and show you here was the moon that he did. This was the one that was based on the tapestry that I had hanging in the apartment. And he painted that one, which is so exact to the tapestry. So this is a really new one, like less than a year. This one, right?
Yep.
Do you remember when you did this one? This was one of your early ones, right?
95.
1995. Okay. And then these 3, he was like, I don't really know if I want these hung up. These were very early ones, but I love them all. And so we hung them like this in a line. And the one over here you did not paint, you bought, right? Okay, that was a buy. And then we have this one in our main bathroom. Take a look at that. I love that, and I love the frame there on that one. And the bedroom, we have this one. This is like Lavender Fields, I think is what he named this one. And this was one of the first ones that he was working on, actively working on when him and I got together about 9 months ago. So this was like my first introduction to his painting. I got to meet his painting instructor, and so this one is kind of near and dear to my heart because it was like in the beginning. So that's what we have so far. Our entire house will end up with George's paintings in, and that's just fine with me. So there we go. There you have it.